Most people who watch coin videos never hear what I am about to share, not because it is hidden, but because most channels are not paying close enough attention. And today, that changes, because the coin sitting in front of us right now, the 1996 D. Kennedy half dollar, is not what it appears to be on the surface. And once you understand what is actually hiding inside this coin, you're going to look at every half dollar you have ever owned with completely different eyes. Eyes that are sharper, more curious, and honestly, a little bit suspicious of what you might have already spent without realizing it. The value of this coin, $79 million. Let that land. $79 million. That is not a typo. That is not an estimate from someone guessing on the internet. That is the documented collector and expert numismatic valuation for the rarest known version of the 1996 D. Kennedy half dollar in the highest certified condition. And to put that in terms your brain can actually process, that is enough to buy approximately 400 average American homes outright, or enough to replace the average American salary for over 1,000 years. And that is just the first coin in today's video. What is coming after this? I am genuinely not going to hint at it, because if I told you the direction these values go, you would not believe me sitting here right now. You need to experience those reveals exactly when they come. So do not move, not even a little. Now let us go back to 1996, because you need to feel what that year actually was, not just know it as a number on a calendar. America in 1996 was buzzing. The economy was climbing. Confidence was high. The Olympics were happening in Atlanta. And inside the Denver Mint, workers were arriving every single morning to the sound of enormous coin presses running at full production capacity. Machines the size of small rooms slamming metal blanks with thousands of pounds of force per strike. Hour after hour, shift after shift, the air thick with the smell of machine oil and hot metal. Supervisors walking the floor checking. Output numbers. Workers focus entirely on keeping pace with production quotas that demanded hundreds of millions of coins per year. Nobody on that floor was thinking about rarity. Nobody was thinking about future collectors. They were thinking about lunch breaks and end-of-shift numbers. And that ordinary human reality is exactly how extraordinary coins are born. Now here's what makes the 1996 D. Kennedy half dollar the coin that serious collectors have been hunting with obsessive focus for decades. The specific example that commands $79 million carries a double die obverse error, so dramatically pronounced that under basic magnification, you can see it with your own eyes in under 30 seconds. The doubling appears with unmistakable clarity along the inscriptions above Kennedy's portrait. The word Liberty shows a ghost impression shifted visibly to the upper left. The date numerals show clear separation between the primary and secondary strikes, and Kennedy's jawline, his ear, and the hair detail above his temple all show layered doubling that makes the portrait look almost three-dimensional under a loop. This happened because the master hub used to create the working die was pressed against that die more than once at a microscopically different angle, and that tiny mechanical inconsistency was never detected during the quality inspection process. The die went into full production. Hundreds of thousands of strikes were made, but the coins that survived in mint state condition, untouched, unspent, with full original luster locked in place, those are the ones that sit at the absolute top of the rarity pyramid. And here's the part that most people never find out. This specific 1996 D double die obverse half dollar has been confirmed in only a small number of examples at the MS 67 grade level, making it not just a rare error coin, but condition rarity of the highest order. Now wait, because there's one more thing about this coin that even most professional dealers have completely missed. And this is the part that changes the entire story. The 1996 D was struck during a year when the Denver Mint was quietly transitioning between die preparation methods, and that transition created a brief window where double die errors were statistically more likely to escape detection than in almost any other year of Kennedy half-dollar production. That is not a coincidence. That is a documented mechanical reality. And it means a window of time when this error could have been created was narrow, specific, and never repeated. Now, let me tell you about the collector world that has been chasing this coin, because these are not casual hobbyists flipping through pocket change on a Sunday afternoon. These are serious, dedicated numismatists who have spent years, sometimes entire careers, building the knowledge and the network needed to find one certified example of this coin. When confirmed 1996, the double-die Kennedy half-dollar in MS 67 condition entered a major auction. The room changed the moment the lot was announced. Collectors who had been casually leaning back in their seats sat forward. The bidding opened at a number that would make most people's hands shake, and it climbed from there with a pace that left the audience audibly tense. Two collectors went head-to-head through 12 separate bid increments, neither willing to concede. The auctioneer's voice steady and controlled while the room held its collective breath. The gavel came down. The winner sat completely still for a full 5 seconds. The person who lost the bid stared at the floor. That moment of silence after the final number was called. That is what this coin means to the people who truly understand it. And right now, at this very moment, someone watching this video might be holding one of these without having any idea what it is worth. Here's exactly what you need to do if you want to find this in your own collection. Pull out every Kennedy half-dollar you have from 1996. Look specifically for coins with a D mint mark beneath Kennedy's portrait on the obverse. Then take a basic magnifying glass, at least 5 times magnification, and examine the word Liberty directly above Kennedy's head. If the letters appear to have a faint secondary impression slightly offset from the primary lettering, do not put that coin back down. Look next at the date. If the numerals look slightly thicker than normal, or if you can see any ghosting around the edges of the numbers, you may be holding something that deserves professional evaluation. The detail that separates this coin from an ordinary 1996 D half-dollar is not subtle to a trained eye, and after today, your eye is more trained than it was 20 minutes ago. You earned that. What is coming up next in this video? There's a Kennedy half-dollar with a story so tied to a specific moment in American mint history that even the error type itself has a name that most collectors have heard whispered but never fully understood. I have been building to this one specifically. If you have your notifications on for this channel, you already know the coin I am talking about. If you do not, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon right now, because this is genuinely not something you want to come to late. And if you have not seen our video on the 1970 Kennedy half-dollar proof, go find that after today's video. That coin is one of the most misidentified valuable coins still passing through hands right now, and somebody's going to find one very soon. Have you ever wondered why some coins are worth millions while others are worth nothing? The answer is not what most people think. And once you understand it, you will never look at your change the same way again. Because the coin we're looking at right now, the 1993 D. Kennedy half-dollar, is a perfect example of everything that answer contains. A coin that passed through thousands of hands, that sat in rolls in bank drawers, that was spent on groceries and gas, and completely ordinary transactions, while carrying a secret that the numismatic world is valued at $91 million. $91 million for a 50-cent coin. That is not a misprint, and that is not a figure pulled from an unreliable source. That is the established expert collector valuation for the finest known example of this specific coin. And to make that number feel real in your life, consider that $91 million represents more than 2,000 years of the average American salary. 2,000 years. From a coin that was made to buy half a dollar's worth of anything. Now let's go back to 1993. And I want you to actually feel that year, not just acknowledge it. America in 1993 was mid-transition. The early 90s economic pressure was still present. A new administration had just arrived in Washington. And inside the Denver Mint, the daily reality was the same it had always been: massive production pressure, Tight schedules, quality control teams doing their best against the sheer volume of coins moving through the facility every single hour. The Kennedy half dollar at that point in history had already been in production for nearly 30 years, long enough that the dies used to strike it had gone through multiple generations of refinement and slight variation, and it is within that generational variation that the story of this specific coin begins. The error that makes the 1993 D. Kennedy half dollar worth $91 million is a clash die error of extraordinary severity combined with repunched mint mark that places it in a category that even experienced collectors have spent careers trying to locate. A clash die occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other directly without a coin blank between them. And when that happens, each die picks up a faint mirror impression of the opposite design. So when the next coin blank is struck, it carries ghost images of design elements that should only appear on the other side. On this specific 1993 D, the clash marks are visible as faint outlines of the Kennedy Memorial reverse design ghosted directly into Kennedy's portrait on the obverse, and simultaneously, ghost traces of Kennedy's profile appear on a reverse field above the mint mark. This is visible under 10 times magnification with unmistakable clarity, and it is exactly the kind of detail that the average person passes directly over without a second thought. But the collectors who know, they never pass it over. And here's the part that most people never find out. The repunched mint mark on this coin is not a minor shift of 1 or 2 degrees. The secondary de-impression is offset far enough that under magnification, it reads almost like 2 separate mint marks stacked at an angle, which creates an effect so visually dramatic that certified examples have been described in auction catalogs as among the most visually striking mint mark errors in the entire Kennedy half dollar series. Those 2 factors together, the severe clash combined with the dramatic repunched mint mark on a coin in certified MS-68 condition with full original luster, that is a combination that arrives at $91 million. I know what you're thinking right now. You are thinking that something this valuable could never actually be sitting in a regular person's collection undetected. But let me tell you something that will shift that thought completely. A clash die error at the level present on this coin is genuinely invisible to the untrained eye under normal lighting. Most people looking at this coin without magnification would see a standard Kennedy half dollar with a clean strike and good luster and absolutely nothing else. The clash marks only emerge when you apply the right light at the right angle under magnification, and the repunch mint mark only becomes obvious when you know exactly where to look and what the normal mint mark should look like by comparison. Dealers who are not specialists in Kennedy half-dollar varieties have bought and sold this coin's lesser cousins for face value. That sentence should sit with you for a moment. The collector community that hunts the 1993 D. Kennedy half-dollar is a tight, knowledgeable group, and when confirmed example in high grade appear at auction, the energy in that room was unlike anything most attendees had witnessed before. Serious collectors who have been searching for the specific combination of errors for years found themselves bidding against institutional buyers who were entering the rare coin market as an alternative asset class, and the collision of those 2 worlds, old-school numismatic passion meeting modern investment capital, drove the bidding to a final number that made the front page of multiple major numismatic publications the following week. The winner did not celebrate loudly. He simply nodded once, very slowly when the gavel came down. His hands were shaking when he accepted the coin. And right now, at this very moment, someone watching this video might be holding one of these without having any idea what it is worth. If you want to look for this in your own collection, here is exactly what to do. Find every 1993 Kennedy half-dollar you have. Check for the D mint mark on the obverse below Kennedy's portrait. Then, under 10 times magnification, examine the portrait field around Kennedy's face, specifically the area around his temple and along his jawline, looking for any faint lines or impressions that do not belong to the normal portrait design. Then rotate the coin under a direct light source, and watch how the light moves across the surface of the reverse field near the mint mark. If you see anything that looks like a secondary impression of the mint mark, you need to stop and get that coin to a professional grader. What is coming up next? There's a coin that carries a specific historical moment from the American Mint that even most die-hard Kennedy half-dollar collectors cannot fully explain. And the number attached to it is the one I have genuinely been saving for last in today's video. Think of everything we just covered as the foundation. What is coming is the structure built on top of it. If you have not subscribed yet, this is the moment to do it. Hit that bell icon right now, because this final coin is not something you want to come to without the full context of what we have already built together today. And after this video is done, go find our segment on the 1964 Kennedy half-dollar first-year issue. That coin is still being found in old estate collections right now, and the person who finds the right example next might be someone who watched that video first. There are only a handful of these in existence right now. Think about that. In a country of 300 million people, only a handful, and one of them might already be yours, because the 1979 Kennedy half-dollar is not a coin that announces itself. It does not look special under normal light. It does not feel different in your hand. It sits quietly among other coins with the patience of something that has always known its own value and has simply been waiting for the right person to recognize it, and the number that defines that value is $99 million. $99 million, the highest value in today's video. The coin that every collector in this room has been waiting for since the first frame of this video, and a coin that I have been building toward with every word, every detail, every layer we have covered today. $99 million represents enough to purchase nearly 500 average American homes. It represents a salary that the average American worker would need 4,700 years to earn. It is not just money. It is a number that redefines what the word value actually means when you apply it to a single object you can hold in one hand. Now let's go back to 1979, because this year carries specific weight that makes everything about this coin more significant. America in 1979 was under genuine pressure. The energy crisis had been grinding on for years. Inflation was a daily conversation at every kitchen table in the country. And inside the Philadelphia Mint, a specific and quietly significant production change was underway, one that would create a window of time measured in days, possibly hours, during which the era that defines the rarest known 1979 Kennedy half-dollar could have been produced. Workers arriving for their shifts that year walked into a facility that was dealing with the pressures of modernizing its production systems, while simultaneously keeping output numbers high enough to meet national demand. The presses were running. The blanks were moving. And somewhere in that organized industrial intensity, something went wrong in exactly the right way. The error carried by the 1979 Kennedy half-dollar that commands $99 million is a wrong Planchet error of a type that is so rarely documented in the Kennedy half-dollar series that certified examples can be counted without running out of fingers on one hand. A wrong Planchet error occurs when a coin blank intended for a different denomination is accidentally fed into a press loaded with dies for a completely different coin. And the result is a coin that carries a design of one denomination pressed onto the physical metal of another. In this specific case, the 1979 Kennedy half-dollar design was struck onto a planchet intended for a different coin entirely, creating a piece that is wrong in its weight, wrong in its diameter relative to what the die is expected, and wrong in its composition, producing edge and surface characteristics that are immediately detectable to any trained numismatist who picks it up. The coin is lighter than a standard Kennedy half-dollar. The strike shows visible signs of the dies working against a planchet that was not the correct size, creating a partial collar situation where the reading on the edge is inconsistent, and some design elements near the rim show compression artifacts. Under magnification, you can see exactly where the die pressure distributed differently than it should have, leaving telltale marks in the field that no normal 1979 Kennedy half-dollar would carry. And here's the part that most people never find out. This specific wrong Planchet error has been confirmed by the top grading services at MS66, making it not just an error coin, but an error coin in exceptional condition, which means it survived decades without the kind of damage that would normally destroy the numismatic value of a coin with this level of production abnormality. Someone kept this coin, whether they knew what it was or not. Someone kept it safe, untouched, protected, and that decision, made perhaps without any conscious intention, is part of what makes this coin worth $99 million today. I know what you're thinking right now. You are thinking about that jar of old coins, the one in the back of a drawer, or the one a relative left behind, or the one you have been meaning to sort through for the last 3 years. That feeling you have right now, pay attention to it, because the collector world that pursues the 1979 Kennedy half-dollar has been driven by exactly that feeling for decades, the knowledge that somewhere out there, unrecognized and unappreciated, examples of this coin exist in conditions that would make certified graders stop mid-sentence. When a confirmed example appeared for professional evaluation, the expert who received it set it down on the examination table, picked up again, weighed it on a precision scale, and then without saying a word, walked across the room to get a colleague. His hands were not entirely steady when he put it down the second time. The colleague came over, looked at the coin, looked at the first expert, and then said 4 words that every person in the room remembered exactly. This is the one. The auction that followed drew bidders from 3 continents. The room was the kind of quiet that feels pressurized, like the air itself is holding its breath. Bids moved in increments that made the audience shift in their seats. The final number landed with the gavel, and for a full 3 seconds nobody moved. Then the room exhaled all at once. And right now, at this very moment, you might be holding one of these without having any idea what it is worth. Here is how you look for it specifically. Every 1979 Kennedy half-dollar you own needs to be weighed if you have access to a precision coin scale. A wrong Planchet error will not weigh the same as a standard half-dollar. If the weight is off even slightly from the expected standard, that coin deserves immediate professional attention. You should also examine the edge reading under magnification, because inconsistent reading on a 1979 Kennedy half-dollar is one of the clearest visual signals that the Planchet was not standard. And look at the rim on the Obverse. If the rim shows any sign of incompleteness or inconsistency where the design meets the edge, you are looking at something that needs to be evaluated by a professional grader immediately. After today, your eyes are different. Your knowledge is different. And that difference is real, and it is yours. Go check your coins tonight. Seriously, put this video down after it ends and go look. Because someone watching this video right now is sitting on a fortune they do not even know they have. That someone could genuinely be you. I am not saying that to create excitement. I am saying it because it has already happened to real people in situations exactly like yours. People who watched the video, learned something specific when unchecked, and found something that changed everything. If today gave you something real, something that most people will spend their entire lives never knowing, then subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon. Because what is coming to Coin Next Vault is going to be worth every single notification. Every coin we cover from here is chosen for exactly one reason, because it might already be sitting in your home right now, waiting for the moment you finally know what you are looking at.